Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to draft a patch pocket. In this case I'll be drafting it for the back of a pant, but you can draft it the same way for the front of your shirt, a skirt, jacket, side of the pant leg, whatever you want. Okay, so here I've traced off the upper portion of the back pant leg. Here's the back crotch, waist, side seam. All right, here's my hip line, crotch line, and then I have some darts here. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is, if I'm working from design, I'll decide, I'll determine where exactly the design is going, or I could just be freehanding it. In this case, I'm freehanding it. I like to put my hand down and kind of get an idea of where or how big I want that patch pocket to be. All right, and you can look at some different pants that you have that you like, or jeans or whatever, and take those measurements and kind of get an idea and look for the placement of them on the garment too. All right, so it's probably going to be placed somewhere around here on the garment. It could be a little higher or lower. And I'm just going to make some marks kind of on the side of my hand to get an idea how big I want that to be. Okay, these are just reference points for now. It's not going to be this big. This is just giving me, an idea of what I'm going for. All right, so if I measure here from side to side, that is about 5.5 inches, and then up and down, that's really big. I do not want a patch pocket that size. That's about 8 inches. Okay, so I like the 5.5. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide where I want that patch pocket to be. I think I want it to be right around in this area. So I'm going to square a line off my hip line, and this will be like the center of my patch pocket. And I'll do a nice long line like so. Okay, I like the measurement of 5.5, so I'll divide that in half, which will make it 2.5. 2 1/4, and I'm just going to measure off that center line, and I'll do this on my hip line too. 2 1/4 inches in each direction. Sorry, 2 3/4 in each direction. Okay, so there's the width of it, and then how deep do I want it to be? I think I want to figure out where I want the top to be. I think I'm going to bring the top up. I want the top to be somewhere around here, probably around there. Okay, that's 1.5 inches up. So if it's 5.5 inches, I'll go down 6 inches. So right there, from the top, I'm measuring down 6 inches. Okay, I do want that kind of point that you get. All right, so that will be the bottom of the point. I'm going to come up about 1/2 inch from there. And I'll draw that. And I'm just going to draw this in green. It's a reference. Okay, so that's basically where when my sides come down, they'll angle to that 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so that's about the size of my pocket. I'm not sure if I'm looking at this, if I like how long it is still. I think I'm going to bring down the top a little bit. I think I'll make that 3/4 inch. I like that a little better. All right, I'll start doing the finished pocket in black. And again, you might draw on there, think it's too big or too small. Again, you're just drafting it, so you can redraw it. You could always make it when you're doing your muslin or your toile, and decide where you want to put the placement, or if it's too big or too small. It's all up to you. I'm going to square down now to that green line. Do the same thing here. And then it's going to connect to that point right there. Now this is a very basic patch pocket. You can change the shape of it. It could be straight across the bottom. All right, it can angle in. Many things. All right, so there it is. I've drafted my patch pocket. I think I like that. And again, if I wanted to, I could change the placement of it. If I wanted to, if I thought it was too low or too high, I might bring it up a little bit. But again, it's just the plotting it out. Okay, so we're going to trace this off now. So I'm going to put another piece of paper underneath here. And I'll just pin the two pieces of paper together so they don't shift on me while I'm tracing off. Go. And now I'm just going to trace it. You could trace around the whole thing. Most of these lines are just straight, so I'm just really going to do the intersections of them. I have a video of how to sew a patch pocket in the description below if you're interested. And I'll keep the center line. That'll be my grain line as well. Okay. That aside. There's all my markings. Go ahead and true them. Now the patch pocket I drafted has no ease in it, which is fine. You don't need to have any ease in it. But if you want a little bit of ease in there to make it easier to get things in and out of it, I'll show you how to do that. So I'll do in green the original sides. It's my original sides. Okay, if I wanted to add some ease in there at the top, I'd come out about 1/8 in each direction or 1/4. We'll do 1/8. I'll do that in black. So I'll measure out 1/8 at the very top and side, like so. And then I'll just angle that down into this intersection at the bottom. So that adds a little bit of ease into the top of the pocket to make it a little easier to get things in and out of. Okay. The top can be finished in many ways. You could add 1/2 inch seam allowance, overlock it, and then fold it under and stitch it down. We'll make this a little bit of a nicer one. I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance to it. That's actually going to act like a facing, and then 1/4 inch of seam allowance above that. On the sides, I'll add 1/2 inch. At the bottom, 1/2 inch as well. These could then be overlocked, pressed to the inside, and then you top stitch the pocket on to the garment. Now, you'll notice I didn't add any seam allowance in here. That's because I don't know what the shape of that's going to be yet, because these are angling out because of that extra bit of ease I put in. Okay, I'm going to actually cut off the top of this, fold under my seam allowance, and then cut the sides, and that will give me what the shape will be for the needed seam allowance. So I'm going to cut the top here. I'm going to fold under this 1/4 inch here. Okay, so I folded on that 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to fold down this inch I have as well. Fold it to the back, just as if it was going to be constructed. Okay, so I folded that under. Now I'll go ahead and cut out the rest. Okay, so now I can open this back up. And you can see it's giving me some angles here, because when it's folded under, like so, it's angling the same as that seam allowance, or the shape of the pocket. So now I can draw in that seam allowance. All right, so there's our patch pocket. All right, and then here's our grain line on it. Had those 2 marks I made. Okay, now, so that's the patch pocket. If I fold this out real quick, once you decide on the placement of your patch pocket, you'll want to have some markings on your garment. I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, there it is folded out. Now, once you have placement for your garment, once you decide where you want it on your garment, you'll have punch holes, okay? You could just go with 4 if you wanted, if you have like a straight patch pocket, or a patch pocket doesn't have a point at the bottom. In this case, I'll have 5. Where those punch holes are, where you originally plotted it out. So here, 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 and there, okay? And then you go ahead and match up the corners. And I can just pin it on here real quick and you can see what it looks like. And there you go. Okay, there's your patch pocket. Okay, you can see by just adding an 1/8 on each side, a total of a 1/4, I've added an ease so I can get my hand or objects in and out of there very easily. Okay, now again, you don't have to have that ease if we put it at the back where it originally was, about there. Okay, still put things in and out, all right? It's just a little tighter, and that's totally fine. Okay, so it's up to you what you want, and you have both options there. All right, so you don't have to add in that 1/8 of an inch of ease on each side. Okay, so there is the patch pocket draft. And again, I have a video for how to sew one in the description below. All right, everyone, good luck.